Download my free Legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. It's 4 core exercises that you need to focus on in order to reach the highest level of mastery. And then I'm going to give you the 3 sub-skills of Legato. Once you master these 3 little skills, then the overall skill of playing very fast runs using hammer-ons and pull-offs will be very easy. So go sign up right now and get immediate access for free. See you in the course.
Integration. I want to talk a little bit about a very, very important insight I got after I've practiced for years. I've practiced, sequences and techniques and licks and scales and all kinds of stuff, but I couldn't really combine it in any meaningful way. So all I had were little gimmicks, like the ability to juggle 7 bottles in the air, right? Give me a second, I'm going to play an impressive alternate picking sequence for you. But I couldn't use that in a musical context. And the reason was that, combining 2 things requires you to move your fingers in a different way. So you're actually not done when you've learned the sequence, because you also have to learn to go from that sequence into another thing. And that goes for the right hand and the left hand. So what I recommend that you do is to use as many techniques as you can and try to blend them so they become, they're seamlessly combined. So if you have a 6-note lick or sequence, you 6 notes up, you might practice that with alternate picking. That might be really a thing of yours that you've been working on for a long time. But then try to play it with another technique. Let's try to play it with hammer-ons and only pick the first note on each string. So I go, and I might play 2 6s with hammer-ons and then 2 6s with alternate picking. Right? Or slower. And if you want to play along, I can tell you that I'm on the B and E string, and I'm in the 8th, the 10th, and the 12th fret on both strings. So if I practice that enough, I can instead of having the alternate picking sequence be something I have to start in the same way and end in the same way each time, I can now go in and out of the 2 techniques while I'm playing, which is amazing, because it just gives you an enormous amount of freedom. And once you start doing that with everything, then suddenly you begin to sense what it's like to have that freedom that you see other people have, the pros out there. Let's just a little shortly another example. Let's say you have an A minor sweep picking arpeggio where you have 2 notes on the first string, 2 notes on the last, and then just 1 note on each string in between. If I, I can practice that. But once I'm done practicing that, that's all I know. I can't use it anywhere. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I can do something up here, or I can go into some legato, right? That I can shift to another thing right there, or to alternate picking, right? So, and the way I do that is I just sit down and comfortably, and then I just play stuff, right? Let's just have this A minor arpeggio be my focal point, and then I could spend a couple of minutes just going up that arpeggio, and then ending it in different ways. And this looks a little easy right now because I've been doing this a lot. But in the beginning, you simply, what, right? And then you come up with something. You come, okay, what if I did that? Or, that sounds pretty good. Right? And then you play it slowly, you get up to speed. And of course, you're not practicing something new here. You're just using stuff you know already, but you're combining it in new ways. And once it's comfortable, once it's comfortable and it feels easy, then you can move on to combining or ending it in a different way. And each time you do it, you tend to come up with stuff that you really can't play, and that's the whole point, right? You have to practice going from one to the other. So this is really like improvising very slowly. And it's not going to sound like this if you've never done this before. It's not going to sound like that. You have to, get it up to speed. So you might come up with a little idea, then you spend 2 minutes just getting it up to speed. And if you can't play it after 2 minutes, it's probably because you're practicing something you haven't played before. And that's not the point of integration. The point of integration is just play what you know already, but combining it. The same thing goes for any other thing that we want to learn. Now, we've been talking a little bit about the techniques and trying to play with different techniques. The same thing with different techniques. But as I just did here, you can also go from sweep picking to legato, from sweep picking to alternate picking, right? Like I did here. But at the same time, you can practice beginning and ending your sequences, or beginning and ending your licks. So for instance, if I have this simple 6-note lick, 6 notes up, how am I going to use that in an actual playing situation? Well, so that you have to practice that. You have to actually practice. And each time you get a new idea, just playing 6 notes up and then using your middle finger to play a middle note is a little challenge if you haven't done it before. Or you might want to slide up for a cool ending there, so you go, for instance, right? And that requires you to play your 6-note sequence, then pick the middle note in the 10th fret, and then slide it up to the 15th fret. And this is a little thing that you have to practice. So, because when you've been practicing the 6-note lick over and over and over and over again, in your brain you have a pattern that says, once I'm finished with those 6 notes, I have to go back to the first one again. And you've been trained like a dog to do that thousands and millions of times, right? If you've been just practicing and practicing and practicing. So the only thing you can do now is, and you have to break that pattern. So you go, oh, a new thing there. Or, right? And you have to practice that. And as I said, it doesn't sound like this if you've never done it before. It sounds more like this. because you have to break the pattern in your mind. And you, right? And then you play that a couple of times. Once it's easy, right? Then you just move on. And that's it. And then in the end, what that becomes is this. Right? And it looks like magic. Oh, then he does this, then he does that. And it's not magic. It's what you're listening or seeing here is just a faster version of what I've been talking about. Just combining stuff, you know. Last example. Let's say I've been practicing a very classical sequence like 4 notes down. And then back to the, you know, previous note. And in order to use, or the other way, in order to use all the work I've done to learn that sequence and play it through scale shapes, in order to use that work, I have to go combine it with a sequence I learned just previously, perhaps. Let's say I learned this sequence. Right? And now I want to combine it with. That's a nice little exercise there, so I can. That's in time. Right. Right? And then I have these two together, so now I can go. Or of course I have to practice combining them in more than one way. I could also go up. Yeah. Right? And so on. And so what that now becomes, when you've been doing that over and over again, you just come up with a new little challenge for yourself. When you're done with the first one, when you're bored with the first one, and then suddenly you can go. Right? And that's what comes out of that. And you know, it's not a practice session where you're all focused on what am I doing here, and I have to have a system for this, and I have to, you know, go step by step. No, you just come up with stuff, because that's really what it's about, right? Soloing and improvising, if that's what you're doing. And then that gradually becomes that fluent playing style. And this process here is what you spend, and you can talk to people while you do it even, once you get into the habit of doing it. But this is the first step to putting on a jam track and then taking that new fluency there that you have in your hands and, you know, turning this into something that has rhythm, that has timing to it. And that's the next challenge for you, really. So, but until you have the fluency, the timing is going to be a little bit tough, because what are you going to play, right? So, but once you can play, then suddenly 1, 2, 3. Bit jazzy there. But then you suddenly have the foundation or the basis for developing fluency as the music plays, which is a slightly different discipline. So those are the words on integration. I hope you'll really try to do this, and it might be a little bit hard in the beginning, but just don't give up. Once you discover how powerful this is and what a huge difference it means to your playing, if you do it every day, then you'll get hooked.